This is the Fitness Chef agent. This is going to be used for two of the other integrations I showed today. They're more UI focused. Okay, so the Fitness Chef agent is an AI-powered assistant that helps generate new and innovative recipes based on available ingredients. And it uses a scraper utility. And what this utility does is that it goes to this website, which is naturalmedicinesandtherapeuticresearch.com. And it will return the protein content of different common foods. And it also uses this recipe index, and that is basically a Kaggle dataset of food.com that has let me get this correct, 200,000 recipes.
Asma, could you slow down a little bit? It's probably a little fast for some people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just
the JIRA Slackbot code, that's available on our GitHub, correct? The cookbook? Or not
don't
yet?
think it's available, but we could provide it after.
Okay, got it.
Coming back to this, so you have a index, which is basically almost like a database for to use for different, like a reference point. And that index has 200,000 recipes from food.com. And these are different, they have a bunch of different ingredients and they have all of that information there. And what we're telling our agent to do is to refer to that index for the search, or to refer to the index for like inspiration. And it always creates a unique recipe. And it always provides it in the form of having your protein breakdown followed by the unique recipe that the agent creates. But also it's going to provide similar recipes from the search tool index. So any two recipes that are closely matched in ingredients are going to be displayed here. We're using GPT-4o as the LLM. And here's an example of how that would look like. So if we have a protein code of say 135 grams of protein, and these are available ingredients, this is how the protein breakdown would look like. So you have your ingredients, the amount of protein per 100 grams, and how many grams you're using in your recipe, the recipe, and then similar recipes as well. Once this agent is deployed, you could use this as an endpoint, like I mentioned. Here is how I'm using it as part of my application. So over here, I have a really simple chat interface. It has 3 different prompts. You can obviously put your own text as needed. And let's go with this one. And it always has the use explain that ask explain that comes up. And
zoom on the app that you just showed. There we go. Okay.
There we go. Okay. I already zoomed in here. I didn't zoom in there. So here is let me just walk you through how this Copilot Kit works. So once you start Copilot Kit, you just start the integration with your API key and the tools that you mentioned as being explain. Ask explain comes from this logic where you have your agent started with the fast API, and you have a function where you basically just mention, you have your post request and then you have your get request. And this is just some debugging and error handling that I have going on. And once you have a response, it produces the response. So now in Copilot Kit, you always initialize your code with actions. And what these actions are is basically you telling the Copilot Kit LLM to actually just use this action, to actually use this, which is what the tool over here is doing. .css is just the CSS for this, and I have some couple of prompts here, and a lot of these prompts are working here. Now, an interesting thing about the way Copilot Kit works is that it always wraps the input and the output in an LLM, which is why we always have, even though the prompt doesn't have ask explain, I have an ask explain over here and I have an ask explain over with the input over here, because I need to make sure that the LLM is actually using explain. Here is the yes.
Quick question. The ask is explain, is it like a token that you have to add so that like or is it easy to differentiate that, okay, this is where the input starts or output starts? Because when you said that the input and output are wrapped together, so that's why I'm curious.
Oh, so yeah, Copilot Kit actually uses its own LLM that every time you put an input in, it rewords or restructures the response based on its own LLM. So even though the query over here looks like this, or what we put as the input, the query that it's going to send to explain looks like this. It might always, it kind of wraps it and rewords it. It has its own, once the post request is made with the API, it's waiting for it to poll before it gets the result back. Now, even though this is a really extensive result, you will see that the response over here is not that extensive. It's summarized and shortened to just be the information, a specific set of information. And this is because the LLM, again, restructures, summarizes, and gives you a shortened version of the response. So that is essentially how this works over here. Another thing that you need to do when you're using a remote endpoints with CopilotKit is actually go into their cloud. And before I get to that, let me actually show you. So we have an ngrok, like I mentioned, we have an ngrok server running over here, which provides us with this endpoint, which is the CopilotKit underscore remote. So the Flask API and the ngrok put together over here. When you come to CopilotKit, you need to actually upload your endpoint over here. I'm not sure if it's gonna load, but you need to basically upload your endpoint to CopilotKit, Copilot Cloud, and that is the expose endpoint, which is basically what allows this to actually work. So this is a little bit more extensive and more well-rounded as UI, because not only can you have your own UI components, but it's also more bulletproof because it has these wrappers and it has these other things that you need to do to make sure your application works the way you want it to. Similar to Slack bot, you can also deploy your code over here on things like Render to host it if that's easy for you, but that's definitely an option that's available. So that has been CopilotKit.